You think women don't notice you because you're not tall enough, rich enough, smooth enough. But the truth is, they notice you. They just don't feel you. And that hurts, doesn't it? Because you're doing everything right. You're being nice, you're being available, you're being agreeable, you're trying to be the safe option. And in your head, you're thinking, why isn't that working? Here's the contrast you don't want, but you need. Being nice isn't the same thing as being respected, and women don't look at you twice because you're harmless. They look at you because you're solid. Now listen closely. This isn't a manipulation lecture. This isn't say this line, do this trick. That's boy behavior. That's fear dressed up as strategy. This is about self-relimation. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to beg for attention because his life, his energy, his presence makes people pay attention without him forcing it. And before we go further, I want you to do something simple. Subscribe. Not because I need a number, because you need reminders. You need the truth showing up in your feed the way your excuses show up in your mind. You're fighting years of conditioning, weak habits, and soft lies. You're not going to get it once and be done. So subscribe if you're serious about building self-respect, clarity, and a backbone that doesn't fold the moment a pretty face smiles at you. Now, here's the thesis. Here's what it really means when women look at you. It's not about your looks first. It's about your emotional weight. It's about the signal your nervous system is broadcasting. It's about whether you feel like a man who belongs in his own secret. Number 1, calm, controlled body language skin. And that's where most guys get it twisted. Misconception first. You think attraction is something you earn by performing. You think if you say the right thing, text the right way, compliment the right amount, hold back just enough, then she'll finally validate you. Hard truth. The moment you need her validation, you start leaking desperation. Why? It happens. Root cause. You don't have an identity you respect yet, so you try to borrow respect from her attention. What it costs. You become needy, reactive, overly polite, and weirdly invisible. Reframe. Attraction isn't a negotiation. It's a response to who you are when you're not trying. That's called presence. And presence isn't loud. It's not peacocking. It's not arrogance. Presence is the quiet confidence of a man who is not asking permission to exist. So, I'm going to give you 8 secrets, not tricks. Secrets meaning the things nobody tells you because they require you to grow up. They require you to stop coping. They require you to take responsibility for the energy you bring into a room. Secret 1. Stop trying to be chosen. Choose yourself first. You want the moment where a woman looks at you and there's that pause, that curiosity, that who is that energy? You don't get that by scanning the room hoping somebody approves of you. You get it by being the man who already approved of himself. Right now, too many men walk around with their self-worth in their pocket like loose change. If she texts, you feel good. If she doesn't, you feel worthless. If she smiles, you stand taller. If she's cold, you shrink. That's not confidence. That's dependence. That's called external validation. And women can feel it, not because they're mind readers, because it changes your behavior. You lean in too fast. You laugh too hard. You agree too quickly. You become on. You become performative. You become a salesman of your own personality. Stop it. A man who is choosing himself moves differently. He doesn't rush. He doesn't cling. He doesn't chase signals like a starving dog chasing crumbs. He can enjoy interest without needing it. He can flirt without begging. He can walk away without making a speech. And here's the part your ego won't like. If you can't secret number 2, eye contact mastery, walk away, you don't have standards. You have fantasies. Secret 2. Your body language is your autobiography. Fix the story it's telling. You can say all the right things and still lose because your posture is confessing. Slumped shoulders confess defeat. Fidgeting confesses anxiety. Darting eyes confess insecurity. Over-smiling confesses approval-seeking. And the worst one, hovering. That half step too close, that please accept me stance. That's called nervous energy. And nervous energy doesn't read as sweet. It reads as uncertain, unstable, like you don't trust yourself, like you're waiting for someone else to tell you who you are. So do this. Slow down, plant your feet, relax your jaw, breathe lower. Look where you're looking like you mean it. Keep your hands still. Speak like you're not trying to outrun silence. Silence is not your enemy. Silence is where weak men panic and strong men communicate. When you can hold a pause, you stop auditioning. You start leading. Presence versus performance. Reality versus fantasy. That's the line. Secret 3. Stop over-talking. Start making your words expensive. A lot of you talk too much because you're trying to prove you're worthy. You flood the conversation with jokes, stories, explanations, fun facts, little disclaimers. You think volume creates value. It doesn't. It creates noise. You want women to look at you. Give them something to feel, not something to skim. When you speak less and what you say has intention, people lean in. When you talk like every sentence is a request for approval, people tune out. That's called verbal neediness, and it's poison. Here's a hard truth. If you're constantly explaining yourself, you don't believe yourself. If you're constantly justifying your choices, you don't respect your choices. If you're constantly trying to be understood, you're negotiating your identity. Stop negotiating. Say what you mean what you say. Let your no be clean, let your yes be grounded. Let your compliments be specific and calm, not thirsty and theatrical. And don't. Secret number 3. Slow, confident movements confuse being mysterious with being empty. Mystery is not hiding. Mystery is having depth that doesn't spill out on the first 5 minutes because you're not desperate for a connection to happen right now. Secret 4. Get a purpose that doesn't include women. Because women can tell when they are your purpose. I know that stings, but it's true. When your week revolves around the possibility of female attention, you start living in a reactive mode. Your gym session is to be seen. Your money goals are to impress. Your style is to signal. Your hobbies become props. Your entire life becomes a performance for a judge that never agreed to judge you. That's called living for the gaze, and it's exhausting. Women look at men who are going somewhere, not men who are orbiting. Orbiting is what moons do. Men have missions. I'm not telling you to become a workaholic robot. I'm telling you to have direction. Have something you're building that would still matter if you were single for 2 years. Something that makes you proud when nobody claps. Something that forces discipline. Something that gives you a spine because purpose does something subtle. It makes you less available for nonsense. It makes your time valuable. It makes your attention selective. And selective attention is powerful. It's not rude. It's respectful. It says, I have a life and I'm inviting you into it. I'm not abandoning it to chase you. Secret 5. Boundaries. The thing you're scared of is the thing that makes you attractive. Most men avoid boundaries because they're terrified of conflict. They think being a good man means being endlessly accommodating. They think if they say, I don't like that, she'll leave, And if she leaves, it means you weren't enough. So, you tolerate disrespect. You tolerate flakiness. You tolerate mixed signals. You tolerate being an option. You tolerate emotional chaos because you'd rather be drained than alone. That's called self-abandonment, and it's the fastest way to become invisible. Women look at men who respect themselves, not men who say they do. Men who prove it with behavior. A boundary is not an argument. A boundary is a standard you enforce without rage, without pleading, without drama. Let me make it real. If she's inconsistent, you don't chase clarity. You step back. If she's disrespectful, you don't win her over. You remove access. If she tests you with petty games, you don't play. You smile. Secret number 4. Speaking with authority. You stay calm and you opt out. Here's what boundaries communicate. My dignity is not negotiable. And when your dignity isn't negotiable, your presence has weight. You stop. You stop explaining. You stop proving. You stop chasing. You stop accepting crumbs and calling it a meal. Secret 6. Emotional control. Not emotional suppression, control. A lot of guys think being masculine means feeling nothing. Wrong. That's not strength, that's fear. Strength is feeling it and staying in command. If you get overly excited too fast, you look hungry. If you get jealous too fast, you look insecure. If you get offended too fast, you look fragile. If you get angry to regain control, you look dangerous. If you get depressed because she didn't text back, you look dependent. That's called emotional volatility. And volatility repels because it signals instability. Here's what attracts: groundedness, the calm center. The man who can be playful without being childish, serious without being cold, confident without being loud. The man who can take a no without turning it into a courtroom case. The man who can handle rejection without collapsing into self-hate or flipping into resentment. And let me say it clean. Women don't owe you attraction. Your job is not to force it. Your job is to become the kind of man who can handle reality and still respect himself. Secret: competence. Competence is charisma. You want women to look at you, become good at something real. Not good at talking, not good at DMing, not good at pretending. Good at something that requires effort, repetition, humility, and time. Fitness, fighting, craft, business, music, building, leadership, skill. Because competence creates certainty, and certainty is rare. Most people are drifting. Most people are guessing. Most people are addicted to comfort and allergic to discipline. So when a man walks in who has paid the price to be sharp, to be capable, to be reliable, people feel it. That's called earned confidence. Earned confidence is secret number 5. Purpose-driven energy different from borrowed confidence. Borrowed confidence is bravado. It disappears when challenged. Earned confidence is quiet because it doesn't need to convince anyone. And there's something else confidence does. It makes you useful, not in a transactional way, in a real, grounded, human way. You can handle things. You can solve problems. You can lead yourself. That is deeply attractive because it signals safety and strength without you having to announce it. Secret 8. Standards. Not standards for women, standards for you. This is where the whole thing locks into place. Most men think the game is, how do I get her to like me? That's the wrong question. That's a boy question. The man question is, do I like who I am when I'm around her? Because some of you get around a woman you're attracted to and you immediately start betraying yourself. Your voice changes, your interests change, your humor changes, your boundaries soften, your ambition shrinks. You become a version of you that you wouldn't respect if you watched yourself from the outside. That's called losing frame. Frame isn't dominance. Frame is self-define. It's the stable internal posture of, this is who I am, this is what I value, this is how I move. When you have standards for yourself, you stop chasing women who require you to abandon yourself. You stop romanticizing disrespect. You stop confusing chaos with chemistry. You stop calling anxiety butterflies. You stop picking women like they're trophies and start picking based on alignment, peace, and integrity. And here's the twist. When you stop needing every woman to like you, more women start noticing you because you're no longer seeking permission, you're offering presence. Now, let's bring all 8 together, because you might be thinking, okay, cool, but what does this look like in real life? I'm going to paint you an archetype, not a fantasy superhero, a real man. The kind of man women look at not because he's trying, but because he's anchored. He walks into a room and he's not scanning for who's watching. He's aware, but he's not hunting. His shoulders are back, not puffed. His chin is neutral. His eyes are calm. He doesn't rush his movements like he's late for his own life. He greets people. Secret number 6. Emotional detachment, not to collect points, but because he's present. He listens, and when he speaks, his words land. He doesn't interrupt silence to soothe his nerves. He can sit in a pause and let it sharpen the moment. He laughs when something's funny. He doesn't laugh to be liked. He compliments a woman without worshiping her. It's clean, it's specific, it's not sticky. And if she receives it, great. If she doesn't, he doesn't spiral. He doesn't punish. He doesn't beg. He doesn't perform. He has boundaries that don't come with speeches. If someone disrespects him, he doesn't win. He exits. He protects his peace like it's part of his discipline, because it is. He has a purpose, not an ego project, a real direction. He trains, he builds, he learns, he handles his responsibilities. He keeps promises to himself. And because he keeps promises to himself, his self-rust is high. And when self-rust is high, desperation is low. That's the man. And here's the part you need to hear. That man isn't born, he's built. Built through discomfort. Built through restraint. Built through saying no to the version of himself that wants the quick dopamine hit of attention. So let's get brutally practical. I'm going to give you a tight sequence. Do this, stop this, redirect this, and I want you to actually do it. Not just nod like you're motivated. Do this. Start treating your attention like currency. Stop giving it away to anyone who hasn't earned access. Redirect your focus back to your body, your mission, your money, your friendships, your skills. If you don't have a mission, make one. Pick a target that scares you and commit to it for 90 days. Do this. Train your body like you respect it. Stop negotiating with your weakness every morning. Redirect your discipline into simple standards. Lift, run, fight, stretch, sleep. Eat like an adult. Not perfect, consistent. Do this. Practice stillness. Stop filling every moment with your phone, your noise, your coping. Redirect into silence daily. Sit there. Breathe. Feel the itch to distract yourself and don't obey it. That's how you build emotional control. Do this. Clean up your communication. Stop double texting, secret number 7. Style and grooming psychology. Over-explaining, sending paragraphs to someone who hasn't matched your energy. Redirect into clarity. Short, direct, calm. If she's interested, she'll make it easy to connect. If she's not, you will not chase her into respect. Do this. Set boundaries without anger. Stop tolerating behaviors that make you feel small. Redirect into a simple rule. If it costs your dignity, it's too expensive. If you have to abandon yourself to keep her, you never had her. You had a leash. Do this. Upgrade your environment. Stop hanging around people who mock discipline. Celebrate mediocrity and call your standards too much. Redirect into rooms where your growth is normal, where men handle their business, where excuses get checked, where you're forced upward. And do this. Stop putting women on pedestals. Stop treating beauty like holiness. Redirect into seeing women as human beings, not judges, not saviors, not trophies. When you treat her like a person, you relax. When you relax, you become present. When you become present, you become attractive. Now, I need to address the part you're not saying out loud. The fear underneath all of it. You're scared that if you stop chasing, nothing will happen. You're scared that if you stop performing, you'll be alone. You're scared that if you set boundaries, you'll lose your chance. You're scared that if you become direct, you'll be rejected. Yes, welcome to manhood. The cost of self-respect is risk. The cost of truth is discomfort. The cost of standards is losing people who benefited from you having none. But let me tell you what it costs to stay the same. It costs your pride. It costs your peace. It costs your time. It costs your masculinity. And I don't mean masculinity as some internet costume. I mean the internal sense that you can rely on yourself, that you can stand in your choices, that you are a man you can respect in the mirror. Because here's what happens when you stay the same. You keep chasing women who don't choose you, and you call it bad luck. You keep being the nice guy, and you call it being a good person. You keep tolerating disrespect, and you call it being secret number 8, social proof and leadership understanding. You keep living in fantasy, and you call it hope. That's not hope. That's avoidance. That's called cowardice dressed as kindness. And I'm not saying that to shame you. I'm saying it to wake you up, because shame keeps you stuck. Truth sets you free. So here's the reframe that changes everything. Women looking at you is not the goal. It's a byproduct. The goal is you becoming a man who is centered, a man who has standards, a man who can lead himself, a man who doesn't beg, a man who doesn't hate women for not choosing him because he's too busy choosing himself. When you build that man, you walk differently, you speak differently, you flirt differently. You stop trying to get women and start connecting with women who fit your life. You stop trying to be impressive and start being real. And reality beats performance every time, because reality has weight. Now, do not misunderstand me. This isn't about turning cold. This isn't about being a jerk. This isn't about playing games. That's insecurity. That's just the other side of neediness. This is about being warm with a spine. Kind, not compliant. Confident, not cocky. Calm, not passive. Direct, not rude. Interested, not needy. And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, but what if I'm not that guy yet? Good, because that means you're honest. And honesty is where growth starts. You don't become that man by waiting for confidence to arrive like a gift. Confidence is built by evidence. Evidence comes from promises kept, small ones, daily. When you do what you said you'd do, your nervous system updates. It stops feeling like a liar. It starts feeling like a leader. You want women to look at you. Stop asking women to fix the part of you that you refuse to build. Build it. One more thing, because some of you are going to take this and immediately aim it outward. You're going to try to use this to win. Don't. If your goal is to collect attention, you'll still be empty when you get it. If your goal is to be chosen, you'll still be a slave to whoever chooses you. But if your goal is self-respect, attention becomes optional. And when attention is optional, you become powerful in the cleanest way. That's what women feel, not how good you are at dating. They feel how you relate to presence over performance yourself. Do you respect yourself? Do you trust yourself? Do you keep your word to yourself? Do you have a life? Do you have standards? Do you have emotional control? Do you have competence? Do you have direction? Because if you do, you don't walk into a room asking, "Am I enough?" You walk in knowing, "I am responsible for who I become." And that's the identity reset. You are not the guy begging to be seen. You are not the guy trying to be chosen. You are not the guy performing for approval. You're the man building a life so solid that your presence speaks before your mouth opens. You are the answer. Now lock it in. Pick one of these secrets and apply it today. Not next week, today. The moment you're done listening, take one action that proves you're serious. One boundary, one workout, one decision, one message you don't send, one distraction you delete, one promise you keep. And yes, subscribe, because this world is loud, soft, and full of lies that make you comfortable and weak. If you want more truth, more clarity, more tough love direction that actually builds you into a man you respect, subscribe and stay close. You're not alone in this. There's a community of men choosing discipline over dopamine, self-respect over approval, purpose over performance. If you're ready to be one of them, you already know what to do.